Welcome to the Old Soul, New Soul Astrology Podcast. Thomas Miller along with Robert Glasscock. We've been talking about this series of Saturn transiting through Pisces as it relates to all of the signs. And we have come to the sign of the goat. Well, the goat astrologer, Robert Glasscock, Libra.
Well, you threw me there for a second because I am a Libra, but I have Capricorn rising, and that is the sign.
The sign of the, well, you are the goat, and that's what I was referring to.
You're trying to force me to multitask here. May I remind you, I'm also aging. So keep me focused.
All right, we will.
Goat.
The goat. Let's talk about Saturn in Pisces. That'll focus us back to the topic.
Right. For Libra rising, Libra suns, transiting Saturn is in Pisces. It's in the sixth house position. And Saturn, as always, I call it the get real planet. People fear Saturn for no reason. It makes you grow up. It makes you face responsibilities maturely. That's really all it does. It's considered to be the planet of karma, but karma is an old Sanskrit word that simply means results of past actions. That's all it means. And this can be past actions in a previous lifetime, or it can be past actions 20 years ago or yesterday. So Saturn transiting the sixth house, I like to call the sixth house, this is for Libra, Libra sun and Libra rising. The sixth house in anybody's chart, I call it the house of psychological self-integration, or lack of that. Because the sixth house is how we put everything together that has come before it in the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth houses. And now in the sixth, and the sign on your sixth cusp will tell you how you integrate or don't, how you integrate yourself psychologically and physiologically. This is the house of health, among other things. So transiting Saturn through the sixth house, one of the key points, it's there for another 2 years. It leaves Pisces and goes into Aries at the end of April of 2025. So anybody with a Libra sun or Libra rising should be simply paying attention to their health. Doesn't mean you're going to get sick. You could, especially if past actions have been negative. If you've been drinking for the last 25 years or smoking for the last 25 years, you may be paying the consequences of that if you've had poor nutritional habits, if you've lacked exercise. So health can be an issue here, but it's a great time with Saturn in Pisces. Remember, Pisces is a double sign, two fish swimming in opposite directions, tethered together. One fish looking backward, the other one looking forward. So Pisces is a sign of refinement. And you're meant to refine what you're doing, what you're eating, how you're exercising, who you spend time with, and so on and so forth. So everybody with Libra rising or Libra sun is refining not only their health habits, but also their work habits. And very often, they're moving from one career phase into another one. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to completely change careers so much as refine what you're doing. Let go of what's not been working and take up what is working going forward. So Pisces is known as being a sign of disillusion. In other words, disillusion in, say, the alcoholic sense, or drugs, or poor health habits, and so on. So if you've been in a phase of ignoring health, then you may pay whatever the price is for it. But on the other hand, it's suggesting let go of old habits and old ways of thinking and old ways of working that are frustrating, that are negative, that are toxic and no longer working, and embrace a new vision for the way you live. Pisces is very much about a visionary sense of looking forward and letting go of the past in that sense. So health and occupation are two of the areas where Libra rising, Libra suns can be refining their lives. I, for example, am having a new website built for the first time in 15 years or something. And I'm loving it because I've got a professional website designer doing this for me. I'm not doing it myself. I'm at the point where I need a better website. So this is typical. Another area of life that's signified by this Saturn in Pisces is relationships with relatives, brothers and sisters in particular. Their lives, too, may be undergoing important changes. They could be getting married, starting families. They could be getting divorced. They could be moving or relocating. Their health may be an issue. They may be retiring. But communications with relatives, especially siblings, is stressed under this Saturn in Pisces. So for siblings that maybe you've been estranged from, this could be between now and, say, May of 25, a period where you have a chance to get back in touch with them and maybe repair old wounds, or maybe even come back together. They may need your help. You may need their help. All of that is meant to remind you of where you came from and where you're going. So it really can be a tremendously healing aspect. One of the typical reactions to Saturn in Pisces is anxiety and worry, fear for the future. So that Libra sun, Libra rising with Saturn here can unconsciously be frightened of where they've been that seems now to be ending, and where they're going, because they are kind of leaping off into the unknown. And for older Librans or Libra rising, people that say over 70, they may be preoccupied with, I'm approaching the end of my life. What am I doing with my life? What have I done with my life? Those kinds of deep questions. It's also a wonderful time for Libra rising, Libra suns to be engaging very seriously their metaphysical and spiritual sides. So things like astrology, things like spiritual development can become more and more important in their lives, and they may even take up those areas as a secondary stream of income and become an astrologer, a counselor, and so on. It is a collective sign, Pisces. So many people with Libra rising, Libra suns are going to be aware between now and, let's say, April, May of 25, of their potentials to serve the collective in some way through their talents and through their work. So those are kind of the broad themes with Saturn and Pisces for Libra.
I'd like to just structurally remind people, if you would explain why with Libra, which typically is the 7th house, why are we talking about the 6th house?
Well, when you place Libra on the 1st house, which is how you analyze what we're doing here, when you place Libra rising on Libra on the 1st cusp, this will show you the relationship of transiting Saturn to that sign. And it's in Pisces now. It is about to go into Aries at the end of April of 25. And that is the sign of the other, namely partnerships, both in marriage and in business. And it also, when Saturn transits into Aries, in the wheel that we're using here with Libra on the 1st cusp, Saturn entering Aries now is above the horizon starting in 2025 for the next 14 years. If we place Libra on the 1st cusp, mentally place it on the 1st cusp. So this will apply to both Libra suns in the solar chart, let's say, or Libra rising. Then transiting Saturn in Pisces is in a 6th house relationship to that. And when it enters Aries, which it does in April of 25, then it will be in a 7th house relationship to Libra. And from then on, for the next 14 years, it will be above the horizon in relationship to Libra. So, in fact, Libra rising, Libra suns, their lives are on the rise, especially beginning with the spring of 25. So, this period we're in now is a time to get rid of wasted efforts, bad habits, toxic associations. Let them go. Purify, refine your lives. Refine what you do, how you do it, who you spend time with, and so on. I'm doing that very consciously. It's not necessarily easy, but it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to let go of toxic associations. And now I'm not being a jerk about it. You don't have to be. You can just simply let them go and be nice about it. You're a Libra, for heaven's sakes. You're supposed to be tactful.
A lot of them are just falling away on their own.
And that's exactly right, Thomas. A lot of them are. So it's really a period of refinement in preparation for a brand new and major new start to come, starting with the spring of 2025. And for you single Librans who have decided that relationships are a thing of the past, guess what? You may be surprised. Starting in 2025, I love hearing people who, and I've had clients that are 80 years old, and you'll see something like a relationship coming into their lives, and they'll tell you you're full of a word that I can't repeat here. But in fact, lo and behold, at 80, they may be living in a retirement community. Somebody moves in, and it's like they're in high school again. It's amazing. So you're moving toward this, after this period of refinement, which you're going through now. And sometimes it is difficult, especially when you're dealing with formerly close friends or former loved ones or former or relatives, brothers and sisters, and so on. Those too may be ending in your life through one method or another. Let them go, because you're basically in a process, whether you know it or not, you should be conscious of this so you can do it consciously, of refining your life in preparation for a major new start in your life that begins with the spring of 25. And it's going to be wonderful. Another element to be aware of this transit of Saturn in Pisces for Libra people, in a Libra solar chart, which places Libra on the first cusp, money is ruled by Scorpio, the second cusp. And Saturn in Pisces in the sixth house in a Libra chart is in the house of work. Saturn in Pisces is in a fifth house relationship to Libra's money, Scorpio. And it's in Pisces, transiting Saturn. So once again, it's suggesting a couple of things. This is an ideal time to turn a hobby or an avocation, something you love to do, especially a creative talent of yours, into a secondary income stream or even a brand new profession for yourself that might ultimately eventuate in 2025 when Saturn enters Aries. So between now and then is a wonderful time to take an interest of yours, and it may be one of the arts in a very directly creative way. It may be in metaphysics or astrology. Seriously consider getting better at those avocations and hobbies to the point where you can begin to make some money with them, because they have value for other people. So it's a wonderful time for Librans to be concentrating on turning their own creative or spiritual and metaphysical interests, Pisces again, into a career.
You know, I've been saying for a while that all of us would do well to have multiple streams of income right now, not relying on just one. And you're saying here that Librans get a little bit of a tip of the hand there in doing that. Good for them. Good for you, too.
It's fascinating to look at this in my own life. This is exactly what I'm doing. And it's not even, I mean, I've incorporated astrology for so many years now into my life that I really don't have to think about it. I'm just doing it naturally. But I'm finding I'm doing exactly this. For example, rebuilding a brand new website. Also letting go of toxic associations. I just have gotten very aware of who I spend time with. You have to prioritize with Saturn. And that's become very important with me. Ever since Saturn went into Pisces, I've just simply let some old associations fade away. They're no longer positive in my life. It's also a wonderful time, Thomas, for any Librans, sun sign or rising, who have psychological issues that they need to be working on, to seek counseling, especially in group psychology. You can learn so much about your own psychology as well as other people's problems in the group and realize I'm not alone. So Libra people who are anxiety ridden or fearful about the future as things are changing and they realize that they're growing up, they're getting older. It doesn't matter what age you are. If you're 20 turning 21, you're getting older. If you're 29 turning 30, you're getting older. So Librans can be very much aware of those aging aspects of life, which is meant to make you become more mature and more conscious of how you're spending your energies and time.
Boy, I'll tell you, everything that you've mentioned about the connections with that sign are so relevant right now. Thank you for that. And when we come back on the next one in the series, we're going to do my sign, Scorpio. If you'd like to check in with Robert for a reading or anything else going on with our podcast, including Kristen's moon calendar, check out the show notes. All of the links and information are in there for you to just directly click to wherever you want to go. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time on the Old Soul, New Soul Astrology podcast with Robert Glasscock.